Okay, Chaz de Hashem. We're finishing the fifth Perek. So, of the Heilige Tanya. We mentioned that when a person learns Torah, the Ian, that he gets to a Yichud Nifla, a wondrous unification with Hashem. Now, there's something that is pointed out here in the Zohar that we just have to mention, which is that if you follow that idea forward, something very profound emerges, which is, who's the Melech of the world? Hashem. Baruch atah Hashem, the King, Melech ha'olam. Hashem, you're the Melech, you're the King of the world. But if a person learns Torah so in depth that he unifies in the most wondrous unification with God, so says the Zohar, then you become godly. And that's what the Gemara says in Gittin, and the Zohar points out when it says Man Malchei, who are the kings? Rabbanim. Because you now are in this position where you are a partner with God. You've unified to such a degree, you're a partner with God in creating, in running this world. And that's why we see that the Rabbanim could do wonders, miracles. And it's not even a Pella. The famous Orach Chaim HaKadosh says this question. He says, why do we make such a big deal about the splitting of the sea, about the miracles that Hashem did in Mitzrayim? But when it comes to the Gemara, I don't know if you guys have opened the Gemara, there's miracles on every page. With splitting of the sea. Yeah, Pinchas ben Yair, they split the sea over there, and then Yeshua came and they split the sea. Like what? Oh, they made the sun stop. Like, oh, really? You don't have to day about that one, the calendar. Oh yeah, and then Rabbi Eliezer was making the carob trees get up and walk around, and he was turning the rivers backwards. And, really? Yeah, the Rabbanim, no problem. So why don't we hear about that? Says the Orach Chaim HaKadosh. All the miracles that we make big days about were before the Torah was given. After the Torah was given, it's a Pella that a Yid could get up and just make carob trees walk around. It's a Pella. He's via Melech. He became B'yichud Nifla HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not Pella anymore that miracles come out of a person who's connected to the master of the world, the king of the universe. That's just a Hakdama. V'zois maili yisera gedoyle v'nifla le'ein kates, and this is an amazing maila, a superiority that is so great, v'nifla wondrous le'ein kates, without limit how great it is. Asher b'mitzvah yidiyas ha'Torah, that you have in the midst of knowing the Torah, v'hasagasa, and understanding it. You notice there's yidiyah and hasaga. Al kol mitzvahs ma'asiyos, more than all the other mitzvahs that are action mitzvahs. Afilo mitzvahs hatlus b'dibur, even on the mitzvahs which are speech mitzvahs, which are more ethereal, more sublime than do mitzvahs. Do mitzvahs, putting its film. Speech mitzvahs is more sublime. Torah we're talking about is in consciousness, how deep you understand the concepts. Even the mitzvah of Torah, which is the dibur element of Torah, the mitzvah of understanding Torah, of knowing the Torah, which happens in your consciousness, is wondrously more great than the mitzvah of saying the Torah. And by the way, the Tanya paskins in Shulchan Aruch Harav that if you're not saying the words of Torah, you're not enunciating the words of Torah, you're missing part of the mitzvah of Talmud Torah. Talmud Torah includes the mitzvah of knowing Torah, but also includes the mitzvah of saying Torah. So we don't believe in this like a Sunday newspaper. Can say the Torah. Okay, very important. Now, if you're not saying the Torah though, do you get this wondrous mitzvah, ein shir, the ein kates, and the yichud nifla? Yes, that is where the most wondrous part of Torah is happening, is in your comprehension. The words though, you're missing, what he's going to explain is the ora makif, the surrounding light that Torah accomplishes. Ki ali de kol mitzvah shebedibur u'maaseh. Through all the mitzvahs, which are speech and action-based mitzvahs, HaKadosh Baruch Hu malbish es hanefesh. Hashem encloaks you with a surrounding light. Now, we're not talking about anything physical here. We just use the word surrounding light to give us a concept that it's something, it's a light that's beyond us. There's two ideas that is spoken about in all the Kabbalistic books, and specifically in many of the Hasidic, especially in Chabad, is the idea, it's all based on the Arizal, is the Or HaMakif and the Or HaPnim. Or Makif means a surrounding light, and Or Pnim means a light that penetrates. If I were to give you an analogy, a surrounding light means that there's elements in my life that are beyond me, that surround me, that I don't quite comprehend. They're beyond. In the same way, and they're not integrated. In the same way that my clothing is beyond, it's outside of me, it's not integrated. I don't say that you are that, right? I hope not, even though many people do believe that that's who they are. It's outside of me, it's beyond me. Whereas the Or Pnim is a light that reaches and takes a destination inside of you. It's more integrated. So I always use an example of relationships. That if a guy meets a girl and they go on a nice date, so I say, so how did the date go? So like, what do you say? It's like, oh, she's beyond me. I don't know. She's so, wow. She's awesome. So, but what do you know about her? Oh, I don't know. She's so amazing. She's so deep. She's like, beyond. Your name? Like, no, names? That's so limiting. It's so limiting. You know, like what she wants to order. We couldn't even think about ordering anything. It was too beyond. Now, obviously, that is an unhealthy date. And then you have another guy that says, how was the date? It was great. One date, I know her name, I know this, I know her favorite color, favorite ice cream, this. I know everything I need to know. A few dates later, why am I telling? I know everything I need to know about her. It's good to go. I say that there's nothing that's like still mysterious, still beyond about her. No, I know everything, like the back of my head. What do you say about that? Is that good? It's awesome. Because then he's saying that I put you into a box, I know who you are, I've defined you, I boxed you and I figured you out, and I don't realize that there's a magic to the beyondness of you. So that is Or Makif. We do the same thing with God, by the way. Some people sadly say, God, I don't know who you are, God. And we treat God as something very far, very distant, very cold, and I can never relate to that. It's too beyond me. So I never learn anything that touches me because it's just beyond. And then you have a person that could say that, yeah, God, this, and this, I do my halachas, and you see the person, are you trying to grow? Are you trying to, is there anything deeper about this? No. I stick with what I know, and that's it. So he's also missing the beyondness of the relationship. So these are two lights that we're always relating to. And ideally, the way it works is the lowest Or HaMakif, and there's nothing in space here, I'm giving concepts, I'm only raising my hand conceptually. The lowest Or HaMakif, you can take and make an Or Pnim. The thing that's just out of your reach about God, that you're able to strive for it and then integrate it into your heart. And then what will God do inevitably? Because how great is this Or HaMakif? It's without end. He'll take another Or Makif that was 2 steps out of your reach and make it there. And then you'll pull that one. And then he'll take another Or Makif that was another, and you'll pull it closer. In your whole life, you're like pulling Or Makifs and making it Or Pnim. Something which was beyond you about God, and then making it integrated into you. So when you do mitzvahs, by the way, mitzvahs are a big Or Makif. Because Or Makifs are things that you have a hard time really relating to. Mitzvahs are very interesting. Even though Reb Shimon Bar Yochai darshans Tanya the Krab and gives us reasons, we're going to talk about this on Shabbos about haircuts, which, by the way, the main reason, says the Rambam, why we don't get haircuts because of idol worship. I'm going to talk about the Boim when they don't cut their hairs like that anymore. The main reasons that we do the mitzvahs, what does the Gemara say in Rosh Hashanah? The Gemara says, "My taka." Why do we blow the shofar? The Gemara asks the question on Rosh Hashanah. Pardon? The Gemara's answer is it's yes. The Gemara's answer is even more sharp. My taka, Amarach Mana taka. Because God said blow a shofar. That's the Gemara. Whoa, I'm sorry. I just wanted to know, like maybe there's a reason. Okay, and then Remez Yeshba, like the Rambam brings, Uru Yesheni Mishen Aschem, Ayal Shel Yitzchak, there's Ramazim. But the simple pshat is that the Melech said something. It's you don't ask questions on the Melech. Are you able to make an or pinim and pull it in and start to understand? By the way, what are Tanya Mikra? Are Tanya Mikra, which means why are the mitzvahs? Are those or makif or pinim? Pinim, excellent, because I'm relating to the mitzvah. I'm making it integrated. But the push pshat mitzvahs, is there some strings? There's a lot of reasons why I wear them. And ois. But at the end of the day, Amar Achmana, tzitzis. That's a or makif, yes.
So do you want to turn makif into panimi?
Yes, that is that. If I were to summarize and basically be a Kabbalistic definition, Rabbi, what is the purpose of life? To make every or makif into an or pinim. Be like, whoa, what does that mean? But yes, that is the purpose of life. Taking whatever, and that's the purpose of a relationship. A guy's been married 20 years. If he doesn't know so much more about the beyondness of his wife than he did when he first married her, not just all the things that annoy him, but really who she is, her dreams, her aspirations. But sadly, many marriages, people go into their caves and they just make it, sadly, they just make it work out, basically. It's a good arrangement. You need two salaries nowadays just to make it work. Yes?
I feel like when we're saying or makif, turning it into or pinim, I might misunderstand, but you can tell me how they're different to turning like soviv, kol.
Yes, same thing.
There's no end from chachma to das.
Yes. Well, the chachma, it's really from keser. Keser is more the soviv,
Sure.
and das is then integrating it. That's why das is so important. And our das has been nuked. Our das, our ability to make intellectual ideas emotionally relevant, has been so contaminated because we're so distracted. We can't focus on something and really live with the integrity of our intellect. Das is living with the integrity of our intellect. That's what das is.
Das is equivalent to or time.
Pnim. The das is when you look at it, if we have the Kabbalistic chart here, das is the process of, as you see, going down the tree of life, bringing it in. It's the channel that's pulling it in from intellect to midas. Yes, das is that channel of going towards orpinim. That's the mechanism to get orpinim. Das is me connecting to my wife, because das comes in the lashon of connection. Yoda admas chava ishtay. That allows me to now see the beyondness of her and integrate it. Das allows me to connect to Hashem in a way that I can integrate deeper parts of the relationship. Yeah, das. Okay, so the mitzvahs we're saying is that Hashem is surrounding me. This light is surrounding me. And we explained also in the world to come that we're going to need that surrounding light so that we shouldn't be overwhelmed by what is the surrounding light God Himself? No, it's just a surrounding light. So all the beyondness of God to us is nothing to His essence. And when Hashem shines Himself to us in the world to come, only because we have some concept of or makif that we're going to be able to be shielded and be able to, but it's the or pinim that's going to allow us to now integrate. And what's the or pinim? That's the Torah. That's the only, there's certain mitzvahs which have an or pinim quality, but the Torah is the ultimate or pinim. It's the ultimate integration of God. And when a person does a mitzvah, so back to or makif, HaKadosh Baruch Hu malbish es ha-nefesh, Hashem cloaks the nefesh, this is obviously conceptual, umakifa or Hashem merosh v'ad ragla, surrounding. Ubeyediyas ha-Torah, kloimar shehaseicha melubish b'chachmas Hashem. When I'm learning Torah, and my mind is totally engulfed in Hashem's chachma, when I get captivated, Hashem surrounds me. Hine gam chachmas Hashem b'kirbo, and I have Hashem inside of me. This is the double enveloping. Mas shehaseichel masig v'toifes umakif b'sichloi. Masha efshar loy litfais, whatever I'm able to understand, to grasp, ula hasig miyadiyasat Torah, whatever I'm able to grasp in my ability of learning Torah, and of course the amount of time that I put into it, and my focus on it, push it to your program. It's just the beginning of the rest of your life, of really setting yourself up for the rest of your life. Ish kafi sichloi, that's very important words he's saying. Ish kafi sichloi, every guy's got a different ability to learn. The koyach yedi osai, and the ability of him to have das and really integrate. The hasagosai, and to be masigit in all the four dimensions of Torah, which is pshat, remez, drush, and soy. Simple meaning, the remez, the deeper hinting of what the Torah is saying to us, the drush, the drushes, and the soy, the secrets. And of course, each of those have the pshat of the pshat, and the pshat of the remez, and the remez of the pshat of the sod, and the sod of the pshat, the remez of the sod. There's endless dargas of each of them.
Isn't there a 10 and 5th level?
Yeah, the soy of the soy. Soy to sights. Ulafi should be a Torah. When I understand Torah, the Torah melubish benefesh ha'adam, and the Torah becomes encloaked in me. The sichloi umukefis b'soicham, and the Torah becomes integrated inside of me. He says something amazing from the Shlach Kodesh here. I should tell it to you, Nifla. The Shlach Kodesh says, "On Zei Keli V'Amveyu." Right? Zei Keli V'Amveyu. Elakai Avi V'Aroi Memenu. We say at the Song of the Sea that this is my God and I shall make him beautiful, glorify him. It says the Shlach Kodesh, Shu Keli. When I say Zei Keli, when I make God Keli, how do I do that? Through Hasagas and Yediyas HaTorah, through understanding the Torah, Keli, not Kel, say Kel, say Keli, is my God. How do I become my God? I've learned Torah Mamish, Oz ve'anveyu. Then you'll have anveyu. Anveyu is a lashon ani v'hu. Then it will be me and him together. Right, so ani v'hu devukim b'yachad kaviyach. When I get to Keli through my learning, it'll be anivu. Then there'll be mamish, total bonding. Ulafi should be yediyas ha-Torah melubeshes benefesh. According to how much you understand it, you integrate the Torah, it goes into you. He's about to say famous words here. The sichlu I know I say that every single few minutes. The sichlu mukefes b'soicham lachein nikreis b'shem lechem. That's why the Torah is called bread. Because where does bread go? I don't know if anybody did this, but I wouldn't put it past the Paris fashion, whatever's coming out of Paris nowadays. Is any bread clothing? People wear clothing made out of bread? You're like, could be at this point. It'll be good for the pigeons. It'll be good for them, not for you. So, we know bread goes inside. So the Torah is called mazain, it's called bread. Because you integrate the Torah goes in you, you eat it. You're literally ingesting God's wisdom. And you become it. When the bread goes in you, not to get so graphic, but where is it now? Find me that loaf of bread. I'm sorry, it's been integrated into every one of the cells of my body, broken down by the digestive juices, going through my bloodstream, nourishing my organs. It's me. It became me. So that's what you're doing when you're learning Torah. You're becoming, and Torah we said is one with God. So think about what happens to you. God man, his little tissues are resonating with God frequency. That's awesome. And it's integrated God consciousness. Ki kamoy shalechem agashmi zanes aguf. It nourishes the body. Just like when you put the bread inside of you, it nourishes your body mamish. Right? The bread becomes you, becomes your dam and basar, right? And then you're able to live. Kach b'yidiyas ha'Torah, so too it is with knowing the Torah. V'hasagos b'nefesh ha'adam, and when you understand it for your soul, Shemaim v'heitev be'iyin sichloi, Ian. It's all about Ian. When you learn Ian deep, the deeper you learn, the more it's like you're chewing it and integrating. Everybody knows you don't chew your food properly, it's not good. It's not going to be integrated. It's going to come out the other end. I'm sorry to say, it's not good. That's why by Esav it says it was a bal'an. Haliteni nam and adam hazeh. Just pour the red stuff down my throat. It's hard to even do. You just swallow them. You can't almost do it, but he knew how to just swallow without chewing. But Yaakov, or B'nai Yaakov, does the exact opposite. It's all about chewing. And there's Kabbalistic things, how many chews on each side with 32 teeth and Gematria Lev, and it's a whole thing. And integrating everything, and it's a whole thing, and different letters to look at while you do it. Chewing is the ikr of being a yid. Because that's then taking the wisdom, so just like Torah. V'shinantam levanecha. Shinui, right? Shinantam is teeth. Chewing it, this chazar, chewing it. It's Ian, getting it deeper and deeper and deeper, and then it integrates into you. But a guy eats a bunch of food, he didn't chew it. Nothing was integrated, it just comes out. You become one with it. That's why the mashalim here, you gotta follow the mashal, you have to think about these mashalim. It gives life to your neshama, from the source of life. Instead of your bread just being organic and delicious, you need something that's going to keep your soul life. The thing that's going to give your soul life is God, it's Himself. Ein Sof Baruch Hu HaMelubish B'Chachmasa V'Teirasa Shebekirbo. Kamosh Kos Be'etz Chaim, like it says Be'etz Chaim. We're going to be able to finish it? No, we're going to finish it tomorrow, B'Zrat Hashem. There's only really 2 more lines here. He basically mentions one Kabbalistic idea about what clothing looks like in Gan Eden, and then he's going to mention something even more, basically just pure Kabbalah. So we'll learn that tomorrow, B'Zrat Hashem. Hopefully the basic will be here by tomorrow, B'Zrat Hashem. Cool.